Ciao, ragazzi. So let's just jump straight into it. 2024 is almost over. There is 8 days left as of making this video. What a year it's been. It's been some ups, there's been some downs. I'm sure everybody can relate to that. Yeah, it's been a wild one. As many may have saw, I kind of cut back a little bit this year on the number of events I did, which ended up being, I did 21 events. Plus we went international, so that was fun. So yeah, so overall recap, it was a great year despite everything. Not saying that there was the everything being bad stuff, just I changed my perspective on a lot of things, and I think it was definitely for the better. Like I said, it was quite a year. I kind of discovered more about myself and what I'm looking for, and I feel like I applied that, and I really started applying that towards the end of the year. So with that, 2025, I'm going to continue that, and we're gonna be doing some more stuff in 2025. So with all of that, yeah, really, I would say the highlights of the year for me were definitely going international. For those that know, I have a video of it, but went to Italy. Did that for not photography related reasons, but of course while I was there I turned them into photography related reasons. And yeah, that was definitely one for the books. There's a part of the Q&A segment of this video, there's a question about that, so I'll save the overall recap for that. But yeah, another highlight was definitely, like I said, learning more about myself and what I'm looking for in my photography and what I wish to pursue with it. That being said, 2025, I'm definitely going to be pursuing the things that truly make me happy in photographing. I thought I knew what that was, but like I've said, 2024 really made me realize what that is. I'm keeping that vague because I don't want to spoil it, because many people know I keep my future plans really close to me, and it's not for any reason other than I don't like building the expectation, and then if I get all excited about it right now and then I go try this new thing and I don't like it, I don't like to make other people feel disappointed in that. And that sounds like a people pleasing thing, and that's not what it is. It's probably didn't say it right, but in my head it makes sense. So anyway, we're gonna jump into the QA section right now. Thank you for everybody who submitted a question. I really appreciate it. We've got a few questions here. Some of them are kind of duplicates, so I've narrowed it down to 13 questions that weren't asking the same thing. So let's start with question number 1. I got, what's a guilty pleasure of yours? Well, I have a lot of them. But I will say one that will probably surprise you is that I get down to some Lana Del Rey. Like, it is part of my hype music, it's part of my gym music, it's part of my editing music. Yeah. Another guilty pleasure is I love cheesecake. Those who have known me know that I always say no to sweets because I really don't like sweets. But when it comes to cheesecake, there is a moral fight inside of me that has to say no, because 99 out of 100 times will say yes to some cheesecake. So yeah, that is another delicious guilty pleasure of mine. All right, so next question. What's your pet peeves for photographing, whether it be about the industry as a whole or anything other in particular related to it? Oh, that is a good question. There are a fair number of pet peeves that I have, so I will try to keep that short because I could do a whole video on just that. Off the top of my head, I will say it's how much people put weight in your social media. because social media is not a good metric for anybody's value. And I feel like the industry as a whole, whether it be from the client standpoint or the photographer standpoint or people who think they're photographers, it gives them a soapbox to stand on that they really shouldn't be standing on. I know art is subjective, that photography is a form of art. Everybody has their own opinions, everybody has their own taste. But I see a lot of people that I think do good work don't get the recognition they deserve because of algorithms and all this other computer binary magic that prevents these people from getting seen by those who deserve to see their work. It also comes down to the money aspect because, let's face it, social media is there to make money. And if you're not producing content that makes them money or giving them outright money, it's a little harder to get discovered by people. And that is why I feel like a lot of people who deserve to be out there and get big opportunities don't. Now one could argue that networking is the thing, but like sometimes to break the door down to start networking, it's all about who you know. That leads me to another pet peeve, is that it's become an industry, much like every other industry, of who you know and not how good you are. Now, again, I know art is subjective. Trust me, I'm one of those people that will push the boundaries for art. And it may not be good to some people, it may be good to other people. But I see a lot of people who don't understand the fundamentals. And I know, again, art is subjective, but there are some fundamentals that have to be followed. And people don't because they're just somebody with a camera. And I see them getting a lot more opportunities than they probably should get because of who they know, who they are, how much money they have, whatever. And that's very discouraging at times. Because again, I see people that put out some amazing work that don't get the recognition. And then I see people who put out work that looks like it was taken with the cell phone camera. And, you could say, oh, well, if they can do that with a cell phone camera. No, it's just, it's not a good, it's like a picture your grandma would take for like the family photo album. And it's only there to like remind you. It doesn't make you feel anything. I don't know. That's just kind of sounds hypocritical to me saying it is subjective, but like, I don't know. Had somebody in the drifting media circle, there was a big stink a few months ago about people using images that are posted online, and it was a whole thing. Look it up anyway, but it's people that are making scenes about this sort of stuff. It's just, I don't know, without being rude and disrespectful, I just see a lot of bad stuff put out there that gets way more attention than people who are putting out quality content, whether that be for clients, themselves, whatever it is. I just see a lot of quality work getting buried underneath the people who just got their camera, they're just learning how to take pictures, whatever it is. And like, I get, you want to encourage those people, but like, there's better ways. And again, that ties back into social media. It's another layer of who you know and all that. So yeah, those are probably my biggest pet peeves. I'll say another minor one is that, kind of along the same lines of organizations not doing their part for media. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of events and a lot of organizations that media is an afterthought. I've seen many a times where it just, there's no communication between the organizers and media people. And I know that event organizers, like, media is not their main thing. Well, hire a media person to do it. Like, hire somebody dedicated for media people. Oftentimes media people do not have a liaison, so to say, for that. They go to these events, they go to these organizers, like, hey, I'm here for media, and like nobody has any idea what to do. There's no communication. It's frustrating because as a media person, you know, you're there to help organizations grow, promote them, give them content to use so they can promote themselves, whatever the case may be. It just feels like sometimes you're an afterthought and they want you to make content, but it feels like they're not supporting you to do that. And that is another thing that gets discouraging and frustrating. I know not everybody's media driven, and again, that's why I say you need to get a media person that's solely in charge of just media. Like, they don't need to be dabbling in like trying to secure locations or anything. The event organizer needs to get the location and then have your media guy like, hey, here's people who have applied for media, go ahead and vet them. Because again, I see a lot of people at events that weren't approved, and they show up with a vest and get into the approved media sections because we don't vet them while they're at the event. There's no security at these events to like prevent that. There's no communications between anybody. So like, you just see a guy out there with the vest, you assume he's an approved media guy. And like, events will give you wristbands and stuff, but nobody's ever checking that stuff. The only time they check it is if you're at an event where you can get in the car and get on track. It's the only time I ever see them checking this sort of stuff. Now I know like people, the more they go to events, you get a face-to-face recognition, and yeah, whatever. That's a problem I think I have a solution to, but like nobody's asked me for that solution, so this may just fall on deaf ears. But that's definitely a big problem, and a lot of people I was talking to at Drifters of December, they also felt some type of same way. Maybe not exactly the same, but they felt that this year kind of a lot of organizations have really dropped the ball on media folks. I know a few organizations were going through changes, but like, got to help out your media people, folks. Like, we're there because we love it. At least most of us are. Now, I have seen some people that are only there so they can get in for the event for free and they don't produce any content, but that's another, again, like I said, I can make a whole video on just pet peeves, but so we'll cut it off there, and we'll get to the next question. But if you would like to hear more about that, let me know, and I will gladly do a video on that, because there's been a lot of, this year alone, there's been a lot of people speaking out about certain things that I either agree with or don't agree with. But anyway, next question. What's with all the Italian symbolism? Okay, so I love this because those who know me very well know that I love speaking about my Italian heritage. And yes, that is the whole reason for the Italian symbolism, is I have Italian heritage. Now, I know, oh, you live in America, you must be like a 32nd Italian. No, my grandparents came over, so I am the second generation born in America. So yes, I am technically an American, but I'm still very deep rooted in my Italian culture. So with that, like, I wanted to, you know, my art is an extension of me, and I wanted to put my mark on that art, which is, I'm very much deep rooted in my Italian culture. So why not incorporate that into my photography business? Those who knew me from the beginning know that like I used a pirate flag for a while, and then kind of like a couple variations of other things before I finally landed on this one. This is right here. And those go with what I talked about earlier, where there was a lot of growth. I picked this logo, or designed this logo at the beginning of the year, and picked it to use it, and I've stuck with it all year. This, again, those who have been with me from the beginning know this is probably the longest they've seen a steady logo associated with me. And that's, again, through all the growth that I've done this year, where I really discovered what I wanted out of my business, what I wanted out of my photography, and that's an extension of it. So yeah, all the Italian symbolism is, again, because that's that's my heritage. That is what I won't say grew up with, because there's a whole family situation there, but I mean, you can't take away the fact that my grandparents came from Italy, and my dad was the first generation that was born on American soil. And yeah, so we've I'm very deep rooted in that, and it's a characteristic trait at this point. That's just, I'm sure my photography buddies will tell you that, yes, it's, that man lets you know, whether it be through my actions or just outright telling you. So yeah, that's the whole point of it. And don't get me wrong, I love America. You know, I served in the military here, but I resonate more with the Italian people. Like, when I went to Italy earlier this year, I realized that this is who I am. I had a moment in Italy, and I'll go on that real quick. We were, where were we? I can't remember the name of the town, but we were waiting to go get dinner with somebody that we were over there to see, and I'm walking around taking pictures, and there's this little bridge that like walks over this canal, and there's a big Italian flag right there. And I remember standing beside that flagpole, looking up at the flag, and that was like one of those moments in life where everything went silent, everything was tranquil, everything was at peace. And that was probably one of the first moments in my life where truly I knew everything happens for a reason and everything's going to be okay. And that is what made me truly realize that I am a European at heart who was born and raised in America. And that's when I knew that all the doubts I had about my heritage and my lineage and who I really was. I mean, at the time I was 29, and as a 29-year-old, I still really didn't know who I was. But that moment right there, like, I knew who I was. I won't say I knew fully who I was, but like, I knew that answered a lot of questions. Like I say, it's just one of those moments that you can't really explain until you experience it yourself. So let's move on from that, because again, I can make a whole nother rant and rave about that. I will talk your ear off about it if you ever want me to. Like, I love discussing it. So the next question I got is, what's been your favorite shoot of the year? That is a good question. I've had multiple favorite shoots of the year. A 24-hour race I did. I always love doing endurance racing. It's one of my favorite things. It's both challenging and fun. Get a lot of cool, unique opportunities. There's a lot of things you only get to do once, because you got 24 hours. You get one sunrise, one sunset, one high afternoon, whatever. Shooting motorcycles was fun this year. I've had a touchy relationship with motorcycles throughout my whole life. I lost an uncle on a motorcycle when I was very young, and I kind of hated them ever since. But would I ever ride a motorcycle? No. But I absolutely love photographing motorcycle racing. Now, circling back to the last question, being Italian, of course, Valentino Rossi. I've known who he was forever. I kind of won't say I really paid close attention, because again, motorcycles, but like, I knew who he was. I knew what he was doing. And I kind of really fell in love with it, so to say, and really looked into motorcycle racing more. And I was like, damn, I've been missing out. All because of something that happened when I was a kid, and I didn't properly know how to deal with that or process it. And motorcycle racing has helped me process that and get over all those issues and feelings I had. Again, I don't think I would ever drive or ride a motorcycle. Not for me. But I will absolutely attend races and continue to photograph them, because that was a blast, and I'm looking forward to doing more next year. Another shoot that I really enjoyed was probably something I did at the beginning of the year. The 24 hours of Appalachia that I did. that was really fun. The way it's looking for 2025, I don't think it's going to be in my cards to do that again. And it may very well just be a one-off event that I did, because they've had quite a few for 2024. I think they ended up doing 5 more. I could be wrong on that, but they did a lot more, and they had a ton of participation. Those events fell on weekends. I had other things going on, and I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it, but like, it wasn't the number one. Like, if I had a choice between doing this or an endurance race, I'm going to go endurance racing. If I had a choice between doing that or motorcycle racing, I'm going to go motorcycle racing. There's some other things next year I want to do that fall on weekends. They have events lined up, and I kind of want to do those other things, because some of them are new to me, and others are either endurance racing or motorcycle or whatever, stuff that I enjoy doing more. But that event was a blast because it was a great adventure. I got to spend some time with some quality people. And it was something different. I also don't have a vehicle anymore that could do the entirety of it, and I don't think it would be as fun if I don't do the whole thing like we did then. I think that I would enjoy doing it again, but like I said, there's other things that I want to do that interfere with next year's stuff. So, and I think I had a different I will be honest, I had a different expectation from the one in February, and that's not saying it was bad, because it really was. I truly did have a great time. It's just, for what I want to do, it just doesn't line up with the expectation that I had. And again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not saying that event was bad by any means. It's just what I put in my mind it was going to be. It was a little bit different, and that's okay. Because again, it was still fun, and I had a blast. And I would absolutely do it again, as long as it doesn't interfere with things that I want to do. So, moving on to the next question. You've mentioned a racing career. What did you race, or how were you involved? Okay, so racing has been a part of my whole life. My uncle started racing before I was even born. And my dad was involved with cars and racing before I was even born. So yeah, it's been a part of my life. So my uncle was really the one that got me into racing, because by the time I came along, my dad was out of it completely. Like, he was still into cool cars and stuff like that, but like the racing, like actual organized legal racing side of things, that is credited to my uncle. So he had a dirt car, and we raced dirt oval. So anytime I go over to his house, like, I would always go look at the race car. When I was a little kid, I was terrified of the noise because it was loud and blah blah blah. But like, the colors drew me to it, the overall concept of it. I mean, there's pictures of me sitting inside the car, and yeah. So 2017, I bought my first race car. It was a Cavalier. Sorry. So it was a 1997 Cavalier, front wheel drive, and it raced in a U-Car class. I only did that for 1 year, and then in the middle of that, I bought a street stock, which is based on like a 1980s Monte Carlo. It's essentially a Monte Carlo chassis with a 350 small block in it, carbureted, and then everything else is kind of up for interpretation, depending who you ask. 4 9-inch rears. Some people ran quick change rear ends, which were technically illegal, but that's how racing goes. Sagging all 3 speeds. Some people ran Bren transmissions, Falcon whatever. Again, everything's up for interpretation when it comes to racing. So like I said, 2017, I raced a U-Car, finished second in the championship. I missed the championship by 5 points. Didn't win any races, but we for my first year racing, I was happy with it. Again, second in championship, got a big old trophy for it, whatever. I was just happiest person in the world. Then comes 2018. I get my street stock, is what it was called, with the Monte Carlo. I get that all squared away, and I raced that all the way up until 2020. When the COVID pandemic hit, racing got shut down, and that is when I decided to step out of the team owner / race car driver seat. Reason being is that it's expensive. Racing is very, very expensive. I've dumped a lot of money into it, and much like photography, it is an expensive hobby, and it quickly becomes as I like to call it, a jobby. Easily dumping 40 hours a week in the garage, and that's after working 40 hours a week, and it's a money pit. I had a lot of fun. I made lifelong friends. Do I miss it? I'll be honest, yes and no. I don't necessarily miss dirt racing. There's a lot of drama, and I'll be honest, I'll just be blunt about it. There is a lot of drama in circle track racing in general. It is a very physical form of racing, and there's a lot of hurt feelings, and I do not miss that part of it at all. I don't miss spending the money every week to tear something up because somebody had big emotions and they didn't know how to handle them. The thrill of speed, I miss that. Being behind the wheel, that part of it, like that was fun. Will I do it again? I had 4 great seasons as a race car driver. My career didn't really amount to anything, but I had fun. I had memories. I can live, or I could, if I were to die, I could say that I was a race car driver at one point in my life. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I have no desire to go back to it. I enjoy photographing way more. Photography has been a huge part of my life. I've been doing it quite a while. There's a question later about that, so I'll touch on that then. But anyway, yeah, so like I said, I raced dirt street stocks, raced that for a few years, raced dirt U-car, raced that for a year. It was fun, but that's where I cut my teeth on racing. And before that, I would help my uncle with his race car and all that. But he couldn't drive anymore. He had somebody else drive for him, and I would come crew for it and all that. So yeah, racing has been a part of my life since pretty much I was born. So that's how I was involved, and that's where it came from. So we'll go on to the next question now. Do you plan on ever doing any actual videography stuff? The long and short answer is no, I don't. I'm not very passionate about videography. And when I'm at events, you can only do one. You can photograph or take video. I take video with my cell phone when I'm not photographing, just because it's easy, and like cell phone clips, nobody's expecting it to be great. Like I don't have to put a whole lot of thought on it. It's just, that's what I'm standing at, that's what I'm looking at right now. Because when you're at events, you can only photograph so much before things start getting repetitive, and I can only focus on one or the other. Again, I'm very passionate and I love photography, not very passionate about videography. So long and short answer is no. I don't plan on doing any actual like true videography stuff. Maybe some point, if I grow big enough, I can team up with a videographer. I don't know, because I got some cool ideas that I think would work for videography. Again, I don't know. I'm a photographer by trade, not a videographer. So maybe if I ever get to a point where, we're a big YouTube channel, I might have somebody like hold a camera for me. But until then, I'm okay with doing what I'm doing now. Again, I love taking pictures, videos. I love watching videos, but like, I don't know. I just don't get the same rush or high or whatever you want to call it from taking video. I would say sometimes it is cool, like when you're just in the right place at the right time, and I just happen to be recording with my cell phone. I feel like video can capture like a whole moment, whereas a photo can like pinpoint the moment. So I mean, that's kind of cool, but like, again, my passion is in taking pictures. So what inspired you to do photography? Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So again, photography has been a huge part of my life. It started around when I was 6 or 7, and it really came from an interest of, what is this device? What does it do? Now, I was 6 or 7 when like Nikon Coolpix, like those Canon digital cameras that like the lens would like fold into and like come out, like those were like the big thing. I was interested in that sort of stuff. I was mechanically interested in it. Even the little Kodak disposable cameras, like I always had one of those things on me because like A, they interested in me, and B, like it was kind of cool to take pictures. So I think the very first picture I took, when I kind of understand like what this magical box does, it was one of those Kodak disposable cameras, or it might have been a Fujifilm, I don't remember. But I just remember I was at the zoo for a field trip, and like I felt something, like looking through the viewfinder and taking a picture. I don't know, something. I was like, man, this is fun. Like, this is cool. I don't know what it is about this, and it's just, this is awesome. Like, I remember, I think we probably went through like 4 or 5 of those on that field trip alone. And at weddings, that was like a big thing. When I was a kid, is like weddings, like they would give you these things, and I remember I would be honest, like I'm sorry everybody whose wedding I attended, I've stolen quite a few of those things from y'all. So yeah, I would take quite a few of those things home with me, because like there's just something about taking a picture that was cool. But like I was also interested in how this thing worked. And yeah, so like I said, like weddings, that was a big thing. They would give you disposable cameras. I remember I would like use like 2 of those to take pictures, and I would pocket like 5 or 6 of them. And there was like like I said, a mechanical interest that developed into like, hey, this is cool. I really like doing this. And then I remember I was like probably 8 or 9, 10. I would start doing like artsy stuff with cameras. And then my family would be like, oh wow, these are actually like really good. And at the time, like looking back at some of those pictures, I'm like, man, this is a really bad picture. But it was also all 5 megapixels of its glory too. But I could see the artistic composition that I had back then. And I've always lived life a little outside of the box, as many people will tell you. So I think that was like a expressive outlet as well. And that may have been what that thing was when I took my very first picture. But I don't know. I truly don't know. But it just resonated inside of me, and it was something I really loved doing. I remember I took a photography class in high school, and that was my first time using a professional camera. It was a Nikon D3100. And that was like the most advanced camera I'd ever laid my hands on. Fast forward, I graduated high school. In my senior class, I was like, I don't remember what the exact award was, but it was essentially like something along the lines of like best photographer in your senior class. And that just continued my love for it. Not like, oh, you won this award. It's just like high school in general, taking pictures in high school through my photography class, like continued my growth. I took a class in college as well. And again, that developed into the love I have for it now, or it was the groundwork for it, because that was like, hey, here's this professional editing software. Like this gives you a whole new side of photography. Like here's what you can do some cool stuff with. So yeah, it all started from a mechanical interest in the camera to, I took a picture and I felt something inside of me, to that's pretty much where we're at now. Like that's something I've not been able to duplicate, even behind the wheel of a race car. Did not feel the same way that it feels for me to take a picture. So I absolutely love it. I absolutely pushing the boundaries with it. Like that's just, it does something for me. So the next question is, how difficult is it to get media passes for all the tracks you visit? Well, well, my little rant earlier, most of them is actually not that difficult at all. You just put in an application, you're going to get approved. There are some that it takes a bit. Now, like professional organizations, I feel like sometimes are a little too harsh because they require you to have clients and all that. And like, I get it. You don't want everybody under the sun, like a lot of grassroots organizations will allow. But professional level stuff, like, I'll say they got it on lock. Like, it's very difficult for those. But for like grassroots level, for basic stuff, nah, just put in an application and you'll most likely get approved. Some organizations make you pay, and that's not necessarily something I agree with, but like those, you can just show up and pay your $20, whatever it is, and you can photograph. Most dirt tracks, just show up, pay your pit entry fee, and you can get in and photograph. You gotta start somewhere. I think those are great places to start if you want to do motorsport stuff. So overall, yeah, it's brother, I'd say it's really, really easy to get approved for most of the stuff that I've attended. Like I said, we haven't really attended any like true like professional organization stuff, so I have tried to get into those, and those are very difficult to get into. But grassroots stuff, super easy. It's a great stepping stone, great place to start. So next question is, what's your favorite photograph you've ever taken? So it just says taken, but that's a good question. And the typical response you'll hear from any photographer is, it's the one I haven't taken yet. And I stand behind that because, like, my favorite picture from a shoot may not be my favorite picture tomorrow. You know, like, it all really depends. It all depends what I feel. Like, when I look at a photograph, how does it make me feel? I've had photographs that, like, from years ago were like, I was like, man, it's the best picture I've ever taken. I love it. And then, like, I look back on it today and I'm like, man, that's not a very good picture. And it's just, that's the nature of it. So it's ever evolving. So yeah, I do stand behind my favorite photograph is the one I have not taken yet, because I just, like I said, today I may love one photo, and then tomorrow I love an entirely different photo. I have photos that I print out that like I love, and I look at them every day and I'm like, man, I really like this picture. But if you were to tell me to pick one of my favorites, I couldn't. I would pick one and submit it to whatever you want me to submit it to, but like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's my favorite, because again, that's an ever evolving statement. Next question, what gear do you shoot with? Is there a reason you like that gear and manufacturer? So I use Nikon, and the reason I like Nikon is because that's what I have my money invested in. That is what I started with. That's literally it. Now I will tie another question in, because these two are kind of the same. What's the best camera brand in your opinion? There isn't one. It's all on what you like and what you can do with that. Some camera brands have way better like autofocus, some have better low light. It all depends what you want to shoot with. For me, I like Nikon. I will probably be a Nikon person until I die, unless another camera brand comes and offers me like full endorsement. You can have whatever equipment you want. You don't have to pay anything. But until then, I'm probably going to stick with Nikon. Because again, it is what I know. It is my familiarity. And while I like pushing boundaries, camera equipment is way too expensive to try something new that's like of super high quality, you know? So yeah, like I said, best brand, you can Google that question and you will get thousands and thousands of people telling you this brand's the best, that brand's the best, blah, 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 blah. It's literally like, I've seen people take a Nikon D3100, for example, and make a great image. And I've seen people take Nikon D5s, which is one of their flagship DSLRs, and take very, very shitty photos. I've seen people take the Z9 and they make photos that look like they came from a cell phone. I've seen people take the Z9 and make photos that should be in National Geographic, you know? It just depends what you can do with it and what you want to use it for. So again, I speak on Nikon because I love Nikon. It's what that's what I'm familiar with. I don't think it's better than any other brand. It's just what I like. And if anybody says anything different, well, that's their opinion. But I do not see any sort of factual base that one brand is better than the other. It's literally all on what you like and how you shoot, what you want to use it for. So I recommend, if you're going to buy something, you do the research to see how it's going to affect what you're interested in doing. I do think there are some camera bodies from brands that are better for one thing or another, but I don't think one brand is better at one thing than the other. That's just is what it is. You can hang me at the stake for that, or pin me at the stake, whatever. I don't know. It's just, I think most true photographers would agree with you on that, or agree with me on that. But that's besides the point. So what do I do when I'm not photographing? There's a lot of things. Working. That's mainly what takes up most of my time. I'm trying to work to make photography my full-time gig. But I gotta also make sure that I can take care of myself and the business before I make it the whole business. Also, I love gaming. I love gaming, listening to music. Like, those are pretty much my big things I do when I'm not photographing. My camera damn near goes everywhere with me, so even when I say I'm traveling, like, I'm still gonna take pictures, much like I did when I went to Italy. I will make it a photography trip if I have the opportunity to. But yeah, gaming something that doesn't really require me using my camera, listening to music, going to the gym. Now that I'm older, like, going to the gym isn't necessarily as fun as it was when I was younger, but like, I still do it because it's part of my routine and I feel good afterwards. But yeah, I would say gaming is probably the one, like, fun outlet I get to do and look forward to doing. And I'm sure somebody's probably gonna ask, but like, I'm real big into War Thunder right now. Rally, like EA, WRC, MotoGP games, any racing games. Like, I love playing racing games. I do iRacing. I play Hell Let Loose is another big one. That the game is very rage inducing though. So yeah, that's what I do when I'm not photographing. And then the last question is, why do you prefer to sleep at the track instead of getting a hotel or something? I have a feeling I know who asked this, but the reason comes down to, A, it's cheaper, and I'm all about saving money. Maybe someday I'll get to a point where, like, I can afford to get a hotel or something, but it's cheaper. I really don't mind it too much. Now, the last couple events I did this year were very cold at night, but I also want to give a big shout out to my buddy Chris, because for Christmas he got me a Whoopee. And if you don't know what a Whoopee is, it is like the greatest thing the U.S. government and military has bestowed upon any human being. It is a quote-unquote poncho liner that is really a blanket, and that thing insulates you, and it is wonderful. It is warm, and I love it. And I got mine as a gift after realizing I probably should get one, because I didn't realize how much I missed it since I've been out of the military. But yeah, so yeah, big thing is, like, it's money saved, money in my pocket. I don't mind it, and like, it keeps me up on my camping skills. Now, I say camping skills, but like, most of the time I just sleep in the car. But like, it lets me use the training I got in the military to a degree. And those are skills I feel like are necessary to keep up with, because you can get rusty if you don't camp out every once in a while, I feel like. But yeah, that may be a little cynical approach to it, but that's really why. And again, maybe one day I will be in a position where I could frivolously get a hotel or Airbnb, or, you know, find a bunch of people to stay with. But I also kind of enjoy the nice and quietness of it, and it's, I don't know, it's more grounding for me. Humbling. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but I don't know. I enjoy it, and that's kind of really all that matters. So that is all the questions that we have, and that'll do it for 2024. with 8 days left. I hope your family, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. And may 2025 be great. I know I am looking forward to 2025 because there are a lot of things coming up that I have on my schedule that I am looking forward to. And there's going to be some new experiences that hopefully pan out. And I can't wait to share those with you. And I think it'll be a great year. Like I said, 2024 was a great year for everything that it involved. And we'll make 2025 even better. So thank you for watching. And I really appreciate everybody who's supported me this year and supported me from the beginning. And if you're new to all this, welcome aboard. I'm so glad you are here. And we will continue to grow, and we will continue to do what we love to do. And that's all that anybody can ask for. So again, Buon Natale, and I hope the new year is everything you hope for and could dream of. And best wishes to everybody. I love you all, and I'm glad that you're here. So until next time, my friends, arrivederci.